For more on the Supreme Court's ruling against student loan debt relief, let's bring in two former university presidents. Joining us now, former U.S. Senator Bob Kerrey, former president of the New School, and former Indiana Governor Mitch Daniels, Purdue University president emeritus. It's been a while. I think I may still call you Senator, maybe Senator and Governor is the way I should probably do this. But Senator Kerrey, I always like seeing you. I wouldn't know where to start with you on this. I don't think you guys are going to argue. Do you think that this was the correct call? Do you think the president had the ability to do what he was trying to do, Senator Kerrey?
Well, I think so. Actually, I think that there's a lot of problems with the student loan program itself. It's actually, with probably the single exception of Purdue University, where Mitch did not have price increases, it puts a lot of pressure on upward pressure on price, and universities are not held at all recourse for when people default. But I think the court made a big mistake giving these states standing. I mean, it was based upon a not-for-profit in Missouri that's processing loans, and I think they interfered with a legitimate dispute between the legislative and the executive branch. It's a classic example of the court taking an activist position that I believe they shouldn't have taken. When former Speaker Pelosi said that this is obvious that the president can't do that and that it can only be done by Congress, does she have her facts wrong on that, Senator? I didn't hear what she said. All of us occasionally get our facts wrong, so so I don't know. All I know is I've read the statute since being invited on the show, and it certainly appears to me that there's a range of motion here, but I just think it's inappropriate for the court to have intervened. It's probably extremely difficult for the Congress and the president to reach agreement under the current circumstances, and it had been far better. It probably would have to be a smaller program, probably some adjustment in the student loan program itself to satisfy conservative members of Congress to get it done. I would vastly prefer that to, basically the executive branch, the president making a decision to do it, knowing that the Congress is going to object. I just repeat, I think the court should not have intervened in what is a dispute between the executive and the legislative branch.
You did hold down costs at Purdue, Governor, but does that mean that you think that people shouldn't repay loans that they've taken out when a lot of other people did?
Of course they should repay it. It's a rare day when I have a difference of opinion with Bob Kerrey and cite Speaker Pelosi. But it is obviously unconstitutional. Maybe on the most legalistic of standing basis, you say they should never have considered it. But plainly, the day the president can spend $400+ billion with a stroke of a pen, we don't have a democracy anymore. Article 1 couldn't be more clear. But, the obvious unconstitutionality, Joe, should not obscure the fact this was probably the least defensible domestic program in memory. Is regressive giveaway to the wealthy and the eventually wealthy. It's incredibly unfair to those people who paid back their loans. People talk about moral hazard. This is the most hazardous example we can think of. By the way, let's drop the misnomers. This isn't forgiveness. This isn't relief. This is a transfer of debt from people who borrowed to people who didn't. And finally, it's fiscally really so wrong-headed. We should be limiting and reducing debt, not piling hundreds of billions more on the next generation. So I think it's entirely appropriate for the court to step in, and given the consequences if they hadn't, thank goodness.